And considering that this show is all I have left for the CW DC universe, I feel like I'm going to forget just how bad DC can be. It's a good thing I'm going to review all the Snyderverse films that I haven't seen yet. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Superman and Lois Season 3, Episode 10, Collision Course. I gotta say, this really reminds me what the first two seasons did so well, which is, even when I'm frustrated, it's still good. Because I'm frustrated with characters, but I understand, I can sympathize, or I can at least justify their thinking, justify what they're doing. It's why Sarah, for a lot of the season, has been very frustrating for me, because I can't really justify a lot of what she's doing and saying. She's just acting out because she's hit that age, I guess, and none of what she does is logical, none of it makes sense, none of it has any reason. She just is a kid who feels like she's being controlled and doesn't like it, and blah blah blah. So like I said, that's why she's been very frustrating. There's a lot of stuff in this episode, though, that is frustrating, but I get it. First of all, for Mateo, frustrated that he decided to help. I'm frustrated that he saw what his dad was doing, bringing back Bizarro Superman, and said, yeah, I'll help you do evil things. But I get it. He's trying to save his mom. Wouldn't you want to do this, even if you find out your dad's been doing awful stuff? Wouldn't you want to help save your mom? Now, granted, I do have to question what's going to happen now with Mannheim, because as we saw, it's not like he started doing all of this awful stuff because Pia got sick. They were criminals long before that. Pia was a murderer long before what happened with her cancer. So I do wonder what their plan is going to be now. Are they just going to go on the run now to keep away from Superman after all they've done? I don't know. I really am unsure of where their story is going to go. But it is disappointing to see Mateo take this step, because it does feel like it separates him and Natalie more. And I more so am disappointed for Natalie in this sense that she's probably not going to get to be with him if he's going to continue to go down this road. For Kyle, though, as frustrating as it is that he just won't let the story drop and he keeps trying to expose Jordan, I get it. He wants to know the truth. They have been lied to so often in this town. It makes sense that he would want to know what's going on, and especially because everybody is not really giving him satisfactory answers. We think about Chrissy trying to explain away the ice in the fire, just saying it was refrigerant. He knows it's not. He works enough of these fires, he knows what refrigerant smells like. And then once Sarah and Junior get saved, of course Junior's now talking about some other hero saving them, and even though Sarah's adamant, why would Junior make that up? And also, look at the car, how would they come away from that unscathed? So it makes sense that he's very frustrated, and honestly, I'm kind of impressed that he pieced at least some of it together and figured out that it was one of the Kent boys that has superpowers. For a character that has been naive and sometimes a little stupid when it comes to story points and trying to figure stuff out, this was pretty impressive work. I mean, yes, he landed on the wrong brother, but it's close. But I am kind of curious to see what's going to happen once he finds out the truth of everything going on. I kind of figured that's what it was leading to whenever he showed up at the Kent house around the same time that Pio was escaping. It made sense to me that Clark was going to be put in a situation where Kyle's not just willing to let him leave after what happened to Sarah, but he also has to leave right away because Lois might be in danger. So I kind of figured this was going to be the moment when he finds out. But I am curious to see what his reaction's going to be. Obviously, they'll try to convince him to keep the secret, but I don't really know for sure. Because like I said, I understand where he's coming from when he talks about how they've all been lied to so much. Is this going to be something where he feels like he can't lie because of all of the lies that have been going around? But of course, the importance of secret identities is very prevalent in this show. And it's something that I really appreciate, because most of the rest of the Arrowverse didn't give a shit about secret identities. But the final story that was frustrating but in an understanding way is everything going on with Jordan and Sarah. Again, Sarah has been frustrating in a not so understandable way for most of this season. And I will say I'm still not a huge fan of the fact that it feels like they're putting her and Junior together for some random reason, even though Junior is clearly not somebody that she should be hanging around. I know she keeps excusing his actions because, well, his dad just died. I know this will make me sound like a stick in the mud, but guy in high school who's constantly going out drinking and partying, is that really the type of guy that you want to be hanging out with? But the conversation they have in this one, it's kind of understandable from both sides, more so from Jordan's side, because he's lashing out after how she's treated him for most of this season, and now all of a sudden she's hanging out with this other guy. And of course, him lashing out causes her to get upset about it, which makes sense, even if I do feel like the lash out was a bit justified. But of course, by the end of it, he still is going to save her, because what he does, and especially for her, he's going to do that. So I do hope this starts to lead to some sort of resolution between the two of them, because again, I thought their relationship was cute in the first couple seasons. It's not the biggest thing in the show, but I don't really understand why they decided to split them up for this season, so I'm kind of hoping maybe this brings them back together. And I know that's weird for me to say because I don't really care about relationship stuff, but something about this one, it just didn't make any sense to me that they would split them up. Why don't you go back to what made sense before? But everything else was just good. There was no frustration in it. It was all enjoyable. It will be interesting to see if this surgery does go well for Lois and if this does solve her problem. Because there's a part of me that does wonder if by the end of this season she's going to be needing whatever cure that Mannheim managed to come up with for Pia. But of course, what are the side effects of that cure? That's another question. So I'm looking forward to see if those questions get answered. But that being said, on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now episode 11, Complications. This show, man, so good! Son of a bitch. It's crazy to me to go from The Flash, where you constantly have villains, at least in the final few seasons, you have villains that end up being corrupted people that Barry manages to give an impassioned speech to, and then they change their minds and win the day and blah, 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 and it's all happy-go-lucky over there. In this show, you have a villain here in Bruno Mannheim, who is not necessarily a corrupted good person. He was a criminal before. He and Pia did a lot of stuff in Lex Luthor's name. They did get him off the street, but they still did bad stuff. And I think they were benefiting from it as well. But this whole season, it's all been about saving her. Everything he's done, every bad thing, every awful thing he's done has been about saving her. He's willing to do whatever it takes. And you finally get to this moment when it all bottoms out. He's tried so much. And finally we reach this moment. This is the last straw. She's gone. He tried to give her a cure. It turned her into something that nearly killed a lot of people in the process. And at the end of it, she ends up passing because of it. Now, granted, she was going to die anyway, so it's not like he killed her, but he's facing the consequences of his actions. He's seeing what happened to her, what she became at the end. She could have gone out, yes, to an awful thing that was going to really destroy her body, but that's where it could have ended. He ended up causing her to become this monster, almost, with powers that she couldn't control. And God, that one scene with the doctor that she basically disintegrated, that was kind of the moment where you could just see the look on his face and on Mateo's face. They realized that they screwed up. But all of this leads to that moment when he decides to turn himself in. He does do it partially because he wants to keep Mateo safe. I like there's a respect now between him and Irons. He knows what type of man he is, and he realizes Mateo, his last chance is to basically have Irons looking over him. And it's just it's a good scene. I was choked up. My eyes were all watery whenever they lost Pia. I mean, it's so good. I've not felt this way about a villain. I don't think I ever felt this way about a villain on The Flash or Arrow. None of their villains felt real like this. To give him such an emotional, I don't want to say relatable because I've not dealt with anybody close in my family losing them to cancer, but it's something that I feel like you could sympathize with him. You can understand where he's coming from, and that just gives him a whole element that most villains don't have and really helps you connect with him to where you can feel something by the end of this. I don't know if I was the only one, but when they were crying over her body, I'm sitting there watching. So very well done in that regard. Everything on the outside also really good. It's surprising to say this. So you've got Kyle, his initial reaction after finding out. It's understandable to a point, but I also like the fact that he realizes he goes over the top with it. Of course, he's going to feel a little hurt that nobody told him, but it also should make sense to him why. They're trying not to let the secret get too far out there, and to blame Chrissy for not telling him when they just started dating too, to blame her for that was over the top. And I'm glad by the end of the episode they had him realize it. And he goes and apologizes, and it was good. It was well done. I'm still not fully invested in them as a couple, but you know what? They're growing on me slowly. But you got this whole thing with Sarah too. We know what she's been through in the past, and she has kind of hit a rock bottom moment. After everything that happened with Jordan, after everything she's been doing this season, she's finally starting to realize she's throwing her life away. The way she's been acting, the way that she's been acting out, a lot of this is leading to her making dumb decisions that are possibly going to cost her future. So it's a really maturely handled moment, and it's something, it was nice to see both Kyle and Lana sort of realize the gravity of the situation, put aside any weirdness that might still be there, and just have a chance to talk to her and have a nice sit down moment. And this is the type of stuff that, again, I wish we had been seeing with the Cushings a little bit more this season, because most of it has been more so focused on, you got the divorce, you got Kyle seeing Chrissy behind Lana's back. Lana and John Henry are kind of chatting it up, and then Kyle gets all jealous. There's a lot of that stuff for the first half of the season. I feel like now we're really starting to dig in a little bit more into the realism of it, taking away the soap opera drama and actually focusing on this is what can happen in a divorce. You've got kids involved. This is what they might do. They might start doing stupid stuff that gets them in trouble, that puts them in harm's way, might possibly ruin their futures. I thought it was a really well handled scene, and I really do wish we'd gotten more of this season, because I feel like I'd like Sarah a little bit more than I do right now. I think that's about all there is to talk about for this episode. Got 2 more left. I'm assuming Bizarro Superman is going to go on a rampage. I don't know what happens when you bring somebody back from the dead in this world, because we saw in Arrow when they brought somebody back from the dead using the Lazarus Pit, we saw it turn them into almost like a demonic form of them. So I don't know if that's what they're going to do with Bizarro Superman here. But if I had to guess, these episodes are going to be focused on trying to stop him, and maybe even the fallout of Bruno admitting to everything they did, because as we've already set up, they framed Lex for the one thing that put him behind bars. So there's a chance that this could end with Lex getting out of prison and possibly setting up for season 4 and what all he's going to do. And I gotta say, I'm excited to see this version of Lex. The way they built him up so far, it's very intriguing. He sounds a lot more like a sadistic monster in this, where most of the time he's kind of a charismatic douchebag, I would say. I almost think of him as like a politician. You can't really trust what he says, but he's so good at speaking that you can understand why people want to follow him. But this version of Lex, they made him sound a lot more dastardly, a lot more evil. So I'm kind of curious to see how the show handles him. It's just one more thing for me to look forward to. Those are my thoughts on these 2 episodes. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 2? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Superman and Lois reviews. Also, check out the channel. We have a lot of other reviews on here, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.